Hi guys, back again. This week it's Q&A. I'm Ian, your Q's. I put the question out on Instagram. Ask me anything about cooking, food, kitchen stuff, gadgets, all that fluff. Got the questions back, so let's get into it. The first one I've got here is how do you cut an onion without crying? Very, very simple. If you haven't seen my video already about how to chop and cut, check that out up here. But essentially, if you look at an onion, apologies, this is a bit of a manky old one, but there's two ends. There's the stalk end here, and there's the root end here. If you cut the root off, you will cry. Simple as that. The best way to do it is cut the onion in half across there, so you got half the root, half the root. Then you can chop it or slice it how you like. In that video, I show you how. That will stop you from crying. You don't need goggles, you don't need to do it underwater, any of that stuff. Cut it that way, you'll never cry again. Unless you're watching Bambi or something. Next question. What do I do if I've eaten something with chili in and it's too spicy? Well, firstly, do not have a drink of water. Absolutely not. All that will do is move all of the spiciness around your mouth, make you cough and put you in more pain. The thing that helps this is fat. This is why often you see people having spicy wing competitions, they have a drink of milk. It's the fat in the milk that helps to calm down the spiciness. So if you've had something really spicy and you're in pain, a glass of milk, some full-fat yogurt, but at a pinch, some butter.
Okay, what?
It sounds mental, I know, but a spoon of butter in your mouth really reduce the pain and really help you out. I know it sounds mental, but try it. If you do have something too spicy and you don't have any milk or yogurt, have some butter. But any kind of fat will help. So if you're having a curry, like my one up here, and it's too spicy, you can add some natural yogurt to it or some double cream, and that will calm down the spiciness. Don't drink water, drink milk, or eat some butter. Simple. Right, next question. How can I cut better? I'm assuming it means how to use a knife better. Practice, basically. I'm self-taught all of my skills. It's just practice. Every time you cook, it's likely you'll be chopping something or cutting something. Remember to hold it so you've got your fingertips out of the way. Hold the knife like this, and then wrap your fingers around so you've got a good solid grip, and then chop. It's just practice, but holding the knife properly and holding your fingers out the way will massively help. But also, a sharp knife. Absolutely imperative. You have a sharp knife. Will save so much hassle, make it quicker, and is much, much safer. Next question. What's your favorite food? Interesting one, because of all of the amazing food I've eaten and some of the most amazing restaurants around the world, the thing that I absolutely love is good old English shepherd's pie. That rich minced lamb with a fluffy mashed potato on top. It's so, so good. It's just something very comforting. It's kind of got everything you need. Absolutely love it. Favorite dessert? Profiteroles. They are so good. But shepherd's pie and profiteroles, not obviously together, because that would be the work of a psychopath. If you haven't had either, check it out. Right, next question. How do you make amazing roast potatoes? Another easy one. The type of potato you use is sort of important. I always use Maris Piper. At a push, King Edward. Once they're peeled and cut, put them in a pan of cold, well-salted water and bring them up to the boil. Gently simmer them until they're soft. It's a bit of a look and feel situation because everyone's cookery is different and depends how many potatoes, how much water. But you want it so they're just starting to go soft. Get them out the water into a colander. Rough them up in the colander so they start to get rough edges. Put the potatoes back in the saucepan. Add salt and pepper and olive oil. Mix them up so they're all coated. Put some more olive oil on a baking tray. Put the potatoes on the tray, evenly spaced. You don't want to overcrowd the tray, otherwise they're not going to cook properly and they're likely to stick together. Whack them in the oven, 200 degrees Celsius, half an hour to 40 minutes, depending on how big they are. But just keep an eye on them. Halfway, turn them over and just watch that beautiful crust. There. That's the simplest way of making really good roast potatoes. If you do want to put some herbs like rosemary on, better to sprinkle those over later on in the cooking process, otherwise they're basically going to go black and burn. There are many ways of doing it. There's no one single way. I'll be doing another video on this at some point as well. Next question. How do you make nice gravy? Another great question and a really simple answer. The best gravy is made from the juices of the meat. So whatever you're roasting, whether it's chicken, pork, beef, venison, as the juices and fat from the meat collect in the roasting tin, that is where your flavour is. Once you finish cooking the meat and you take it out to rest, you've got a tray with meat juices, fat and debris in there. Put it on the hob, add some corn flour and with a whisk just mix it all in. Essentially you're making a roux, which would normally be butter and flour, but in this case you're using flour and the fat of the meat, which is where the flavour is. Once it starts to cook out, you can add in some liquid. If it's a dark meat, you might want to add a little bit of red wine and make sure you get all of the bits scraped off the bottom of the pan. If it's a lighter meat, maybe some white wine. But once you've got that going, then you want to add in some stock, ideally homemade stock. Another video coming soon. If not, a stock cube in the flavour of the meat you're doing. Add that in, and then that roux you made from the meat, fats and juices, and the flour will help to thicken it. Cook all the flour out to keep it going, then pass that through a sieve into a saucepan and keep it warm. Add more stock if it's too thick, but that's basically the way to get absolutely amazing gravy. Please do not use Bisto. It's just artificial junk. Next question. What do I like about cooking? Apart from obviously liking to eat it, you know, who doesn't? I think it's the creativity of it. You start off with all these kind of small random items, which in themselves could be really, really nice. And then you put them together and you create this amazing, much more tasty, much more interesting thing from these individual components, which I guess is just creativity anyway. There's just something nice about just putting things together, trying different flavors, see what works, what doesn't work. It's just so much fun. And for me, it's a massive, massive stress reliever. I know some of you say that cooking is really stressful and you want to avoid it because it's hassle. You want to eat the food and go. Having to cook and all these ingredients and equipment and things like that is such a pain in the arse. A lot of that comes from not really knowing the best ways to do things or the best technique. When you go to do it, you're like, I don't know. And it's just hassle, and I get that. But what I want to do with this channel is impart my approach to it, that it's easy. It's actually very, very simple. And once you know a few little techniques, everything opens up to be so much easier. You find yourself cooking for yourself, your family, maybe your friends. And that's why I also wrote my book, link in the description, of how to host a stress-free dinner party, because it really is that easy. I've got a huge 50% offer for you, so check out the link in the description, and I hope you enjoy it. Next, one piece of advice for cooking. Don't think I can give one piece of advice. I love to talk, as you know. One piece of advice is try things. Don't be afraid of trying things, try new things. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I'd say the two most useful things that I use all the time of cooking, that I would just not be able to live without, is one, a good sharp chef's knife, and secondly, a heat-proof spatula. This is... Ow.
Dumbass.
This is so useful, whether you're stirring, you know, any hot dishes, making scrambled eggs, anything. Because it's silicone, it's soft, it can get round the pan so you're not leaving anything there. It's good for mixing up and almost like whisking, so like with the scrambled eggs. So versatile, so useful, so cheap. Definitely recommend that. These are the two things I use most in the kitchen. And that brings me on to one of the biggest, the most massive piece of advice I can give to you guys. And that is undercook everything.
Wait, what?
I know that sounds mental, but here's why. You can always cook things a bit more. You can't uncook things. Always undercook everything, take it off the heat or out of the oven and check it. If it needs a bit more, you can always put it back. If you look at a recipe and it says 200 degrees for an hour and a half, don't put it in the oven at 200 degrees, hour and a half. Right, we're done.
Later that same evening.
Massively overcooked. An example of this is chicken. If you look on the wrapper of a chicken, it will say something like, put it in the oven 180 degrees for an hour and a half. An hour and a half to cook a whole chicken is fucking ridiculous. It's way overcooked. It'll be dry as a badger's arse in the desert and just, it'll be horrible. You've got to make sure it is cooked. But bear in mind, whenever you take meat out of the oven, it will continue to cook while you rest it. It will raise a few degrees. Be safe, check it. If the juices run clear, you're good to go. Don't just blindly follow instructions of how long to cook things. Undercook everything. You can always cook it a bit more, and by doing that one simple piece of advice, you'll find that food will be so much more tasty, so much more juicy and succulent, not this dried up piece of old leather. Start to understand how things cook by taste and feel, and that way you'll be a much better cook in the kitchen, less stressful, because you'll just instinctively know this will take this long. You're tasting it, you're checking it, so you can move away from what recipes say about length of time to cook. You can start using your own judgment. As you can see, I'm quite passionate about that, because that is one piece of advice that literally will change everything you cook into being to like, wow. Calm it down a bit, step back, you'll notice a huge, huge difference. And the final question, am I gonna be on Deliveroo soon? No, obviously not, but I am going to be offering something very special very soon in order to raise money for my Everest base camp trek, which I'm doing in March next year, to raise money for the amazing charity called Young Minds, to help young people really deal with and cope and survive, literally, mental health problems. It's an amazing charity. I'll put a link from my GoFundMe page in the description. I'm going to be offering something that I think is really special very, very soon, so watch out for that. On that note, thank you for watching. Hopefully I've given you some tips, helped you out with some questions. If you've got any more, let me know. I'm always happy to help you get handy in the kitchen. And if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to smash that like button in the face and share this with, let's say, 13 people. Why not? So for now, thanks for watching. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.